What's going on, ladies and gents? This is Bento with another Steam controller playtest, and this time bringing you some Elite Dangerous. Elite Dangerous is only the second flight sim I've gotten to try on the Steam controller, the first being Strike Vector. I'm not the best, or I'm not too knowledgeable in most flight sims. I haven't really spent too much time with them. But in terms of my experience with the Steam controller, and especially its motion controls and Elite Dangerous, it's been really fun. So for my actual control scheme, I am using a gamepad and keyboard and mouse setup, most notably because I do like the commands that come with the D-pad and the face buttons it uses. It's especially helpful, and even though I don't have all the commands down, it does kind of help. So for the actual controls, the left trigger is to right click, or to right click. The right trigger is to left click, or in this case to shoot. The left bumper is to thrust downward. The right bumper is to thrust upward. The left trackpad is actually a touch menu with varying functions, most notably a D-pad functionality, along with a scroll up and scroll down functionality that you might need for when you check the maps. And I do have a left shift for UI focus. The right trackpad is a mouse style of input with trackball motion. And this is primarily just used for camera movement. Moving up actually pitches the ship upwards and downwards. Moving down pitches downward. Going left, yaws it left, and going right, yaws it right. I do have motion control as well, as I've stated, tied to the right trackpad, and it's basically everything you need. There's also some lean functionality for rolling, both left and right. I also do have roll functionality for the left grip, which rolls left, and the right grip, which rolls right. The thumbstick is used for throttle. Going up is the throttle forward, going back is the throttle backward. The left and right is used for thrusting left and right, so left is left, and right is right. And the face buttons, as I've said, are just the normal gamepad face buttons, so Y is Y, X is X, etc. Left is enter, so that way you can chat with the local populace. Right is just the regular pause menu. Oh, and lest I forget, if I were to click the right trackpad, it would go into your head bobbing mode, so you can see the cockpit. So that's pretty much it. Let's show you guys some gameplay. So the two portions of gameplay I'll be showing you guys is mainly one involving flying and docking, and the other is actual combat. In terms of all the controls I've tried to configure for Elite Dangerous, it's played out really well. Moving and flying feels really good. Trying to bobble my head around the screens or the cockpit feels really good as well. And I'll explain combat when I do get to it, but that also felt really good. But I think the biggest contributor to the actual gameplay is the motion control itself. It feels really good to just move around. Trying to yaw, trying to pitch feels really good. The lean options are also a bonus too. I really don't use them too much because I think I prefer the comfort of the grips to do my rolls. But if you do, it just feels really natural in the controller. I can't really say or speak much in comparison to flight sticks because I've never owned a flight stick. But I can at least say that maneuvering your ship with the Steam controller motion controls feels really smooth and really natural. Although, as you'll see in a couple of seconds, I'm not the best pilot in terms of landing or docking. But as for all the other controls, I think they've played out really well. I think my thumbstick might be a little different from how typical thumbstick works for flight controls. I can't really say much because, again, I'm not the expert, but I did feel it to be really comfortable as using it for both thrusting left and right, as well as throttling forward and back. And I may have actually forgot to mention, but the thumbstick is actually using a WASD key movement. I'm pretty sure the left thumbstick on the normal gamepad works just as well. But other than trying to fly around, I mean, navigating menus feels just as good as it gets using a thumbstick. I mean, nothing too impressive, but at least it functions pretty well. You could always use the mouse input if you were inclined to, but I just thought it'd be faster to use the left thumbstick. The touch menu has definitely been helpful in terms of not only just emulating a regular D-pad, but having the option of using your scroll wheel as well. You'll probably won't see me use it here because I forgot to bring up the map, but it's definitely helped with trying to zoom in and zoom out. And if you guys aren't too comfortable with having that style of touch menu, feel free to change it around. It may not seem like it through some of this gameplay, but well, unfortunately, because if you basically just watch someone fly through space, it's a little boring. But if you guys do get your hands on just flying with the Steam controller, it feels quite relaxing actually, just flying through space and maneuvering around using motion controls. I also imagine that trying to use these controls in conjunction with the Steam VR might also be pretty fun actually. So now we're at the combat portion, guys. Again, I can't really say that I'm the best pilot or even like a good enough pilot to show you guys a good example, but I can at least comfortably say that in terms of this control scheme, I was able to properly combat other ships. One thing that might appear as sort of a minor issue is trying to lock on to your next target. And the command for that, at least for my Elite Dangerous, is Y plus the D-pad up. And so it kind of does take me away from my camera movement, and unfortunately that's what I kind of try to avoid with my Steam controller configurations. I try to keep my camera movement and my actions in separate thumbs, so that way I don't have to take my thumb off the camera. If anything, you could always change your targeting to the grips if you wanted to. If you're comfortable with having lean, which I think it works pretty well, then you could always just do that. I also think if you wanted to, you could have motion control always on rather than tying it to the right trackpad like I do. I don't think it's too bad with Elite Dangerous because you could always reline it just in case you've pulled a little too hard in a certain direction. But I prefer to have my right trackpad just in case, because if I need to quickly center instead of being at an awkward position with my hands, then at least I can do that. And as you can see, having motion control is really fun, but because I am recording, it does take my hand off the screen sometimes. Target destroyed. We are just about to finish up, guys. So overall, I really enjoyed Elite Dangerous with the Steam controller. I think the motion control was phenomenal. I think even if you don't really play Elite Dangerous that much, I think it's something worth trying out. And especially if you want to continue playing Elite Dangerous, I think it just makes it really fun motion control wise, and adding functions that you normally would not find on a regular gamepad. So if you wanted to, you could also use the shortcuts. You could maybe implement hyperdrive to one specific touch menu item. But the choices are yours, and there's a whole bunch of options you get to choose from. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time.